Hi, my name is Elise Ehlert. I am currently a senior music education major at CU, and I'm also student teaching right now, and then I'll be graduating in May. And the hope is to get a middle school band teaching job out here in Colorado. So, yeah, and I'm also originally from Illinois.
Hi, my name is Leilani Spurlock. I'm a second year master's student at the University of Colorado Boulder. So I graduate in May, so that's exciting. And after this, I want to stick around the Front Range area in Colorado and be a freelance trumpet player and music educator. Fun fact, I teach early childhood music. That's like my day job. So I want to do that and play trumpet.
I am Sydney Hale. I am also a second year trumpet performance master's student at CU. I did my undergrad at University of Oregon. Originally was from Illinois. After I graduate in May, I'm planning on moving to Baltimore. My partner is doing his master's at Peabody, so I'm planning on coming out here and freelancing and getting settled in another new place and trying to figure that out.
Hi, my name is Catherine Botriba, and I'm a trumpet player at CU Boulder. I'm an music education major in a sociology minor. This is my sophomore year here. I'm in my undergrad, and it's been a super busy semester, but also an incredibly fun semester.
Hi, my name is Gwen. I am a third-year undergrad here at the University of Colorado Boulder. I'm currently studying trumpet performance. Plans after graduation, I intend on pursuing a master's at some point. I teach lessons right now, and I intend to continue doing that, teaching sectionals, teaching marching band, really just all the things.
Why don't you tell us about your early days of trumpet playing? How did you choose this instrument, and when did you know music would be something you wanted to pursue as a career?
I guess what you could call a very conventional musical upbringing. Neither of my parents were musical. I grew up in a really small town in central Illinois, about an hour north of St. Louis. We had a pretty decent band program, I'd say, for like the surrounding towns and whatnot, but it was always just fun for me, I guess. Like, we did start the summer before fifth grade, and we did the instrument petting zoo. And I thought I wanted to play flute because my babysitter growing up played flute, and my mom would always take us to all the basketball games, and like we'd dance to the band. And like I was like, I'm gonna play flute like my babysitter. Still can't make sound on that instrument. So trumpet had three valves. It was small enough for my little hands, and I said, "That'll do." Uh, and then it was always something that I really enjoyed, but I never considered pursuing a career in it probably until the end of sophomore year of high school. I definitely thought I was going to go into like medicine or law. After I made all state sophomore year of high school, I was like, oh, wait, maybe I could do something with this. And then started looking at colleges, knowing that I wanted to do marching band actually, but not being sure that I wanted to be a music major. Eventually, obviously, during my junior and senior year, I decided that I was going to full send the music field decision, and here we are.
Very cool. I actually have a really similar story. I also chose the trumpet because it only had three valves. And also similarly in high school, I didn't want to do music in college. I thought I was going to do biochemistry. I don't think I even knew what biochemistry was, but I was like, it sounds fancy.
No, I wanted to be a photographer for a long time, and then I was like, well, I'm at the top of my class. I'm supposed to go into something like law or medicine, right?
I had a super opposite story. I like maybe couldn't be more opposite. I come from a family of musicians. My mom is a violinist. Her mom is a violinist. Her biological dad is a pianist and a composer. Her stepdad was a trumpet player. My uncle is a trumpet player, and my cousin is a trumpet player. So I picked it because I thought that because I had family members who played it, someone could help me. So, which like I was right, yes. So that's why I picked trumpet. I had been around it a lot, and then I joined jazz band in seventh grade. And jazz band was essentially for kids who really liked being in band versus like the kids who were in band because they had to be in band. A lot of my first experiences taking the trumpet seriously were actually in jazz band. So I went to jazz summer camp for 3 years. It was seventh grade that I was like, yeah, I want to do this for my profession. But it was very easy for me to think that because I saw my mom be a successful musician. So it wasn't weird to me or like not a possibility. And I grew up with a lot of support from my parents because of that, because they had all been successful musicians. So it wasn't like an unreachable goal. So I had a lot of support from my parents. My dad, not musical at all, but really enjoys music and likes to go to concerts and things like that. So there was a period of time where I thought I should double major in biology. And then I went into college, not as a double major. I did end up double majoring, but in something I always joke equally as useless. That's not true. They're not in music is not a useless degree, but I got another humanities degree in German studies in my undergrad as well.
Let's transition a little bit into talking about the National Trumpet Competition. First of all, congratulations for winning first place in the small ensemble category last year. It's a huge accomplishment. I know that you guys are the first all-woman group to win NTC. Is that true?
Yeah, so a group I think this was 2020, UCLA sent an all-female, I think it was actually maybe a large ensemble that didn't get to perform because of COVID. And then Indiana University, the group that I was in, we were, I guess, the first female ensemble to perform live at NTC, which was very cool. And then the CU group was the first group to win.
So tell us about the story of this ensemble and how you ended up choosing the members of this quintet and the repertoire from last year.
Basically, the doctoral students at CU had all kind of gotten together, I don't know, maybe like the week before school had started, and they had decided they were going to do a doctoral trumpet ensemble of just the 5 doctoral students because there were only 5 of them. So Sydney and I were first year master students, and we came in, and both Sydney and I have a sort of non-traditional schooling path. So we both kind of took time away from music school. So we're both old. As some would say, we were like, okay, well, we want to participate in trumpet ensemble, but the other graduate students had kind of already formed this group. So we were like, okay, well, how can we form a group that really feels like us, like that we want to own? And we thought it would be really cool to put together an all-female trumpet ensemble. I think we had 7 girls in the studio last year. And we were trying to figure out who wanted what from NTC. We had one student who didn't want anything to do with trumpet ensemble. She was auditioning for grad schools that year and like had a recital and things like that. So I think she competed in the solo division, but she just didn't have time to come to a trumpet ensemble rehearsal schedule. So she ended up not participating. And then Amy Millison, she is a DMA student. And so she had already committed to being in this DMA ensemble. We asked her anyway. We said, hey, we're trying to put together this all-female ensemble. What do you think? And since she had already given confirmation to that other group, she decided that she was going to stick with that. She wanted to keep to her word that she had made this promise to a different group. So that left the 5 of us who ended up playing together, and we all met. We went and got lunch together. We all met and we said, okay, what do we want from this experience? And we all were kind of on the same page from the get-go of what we wanted, how we wanted to rehearse.
I think that was such an important moment too, because it set the tone for the rest of the year. And I think there was never that question of commitment or what we wanted out of it. It was established from day 1, day 0, I guess. And I think that's always so good.
And then tell me a little bit about the repertoire you guys chose and how that ended up coming into play also.
I feel like that was a little less exciting. We had Dr. Gardner give us a bunch of suggestions of trumpet ensemble repertoire, and I think we might have done a group listening session, or at least been like, hey, listen to these pieces, give your rankings.
We got together and we did a reading session.
Yes, that's true.
Of the ones that we had ranked.
That's true. There were like 3 that we had ranked, and we just loved the groove of Centrifuge. We were dancing like the first read through. We're like, yeah, we can play this for 9 months. Let's do that. Yeah.
Right. That's such a big consideration too, because you're going to be playing that piece all year long, basically. So you got to really enjoy it. So how does it feel to be the first all-woman ensemble to win NTC? Does it feel like a big deal, or do you feel like it's just another award?
It feels very impactful. Like, I know we've made an impact. I know we've been an inspiration to people, which feels so cool. It is crazy how long ago it feels, to me at least, though. Like, my parents will still check up on the video and be like, 650K today, or like, we'll look at the comments and there'll be people that are sending it to us, or like we go to teach in a school and they're like, oh, are you the people from that video? And I'm like, oh yeah. Like, that feels so long ago for me, but I know it is very cool. I feel like we're niche micro celebrities. But I know we saw this group of, I think it was a group of Texas high schoolers that were in one of the high school ensembles last year and had come up and said that they wanted to do an all-female group. And that was just really cool to know that we were not only inspiring those younger than us, but also like Nancy Taylor. She said how cool it was to see us do that and do it in a full girl way with the gold heels and the dresses. And it was just something that when she was, you know, the first female trumpet player in the Marine Band, that wasn't exactly something that she got to accentuate. And so like to be able to see a group of us do that and be so proud of our girlhood with it, I know was in a sense kind of like healing to some of our female mentors in our field too. So I don't know, it is really cool to know we've made an impact in that way.
That was a big part of this one for me, was when Indiana did the all female ensemble in 2022. We had a group of high schoolers come up to us and tell us that they wanted to do an all female ensemble. And that made us feel so good. Like, even though we didn't win, like, we did make an impact and people cared a lot. And like walking out on stage for finals, people were rooting for us so hard. And I am so, so grateful for that. And something that I did notice, not just with Nancy Taylor, but we got to work with Marie Speziali before NTC. And it was, everyone who's ever worked with Miss Speziali knows that she is just like one of the most wonderful human beings of all time. And how she also made a comment about how it could have never ever happened for her, like something like this. And so getting to hear from Nancy and getting to hear from Miss Speziali about how like we were doing something they could have never dreamed of, that was really, really moving to me, and just meant so much that we were taking advantage of the opportunity that we have now that they worked so hard to get for us.
So, what are some of the unique challenges of preparing for a competition like NTC? And do you have any advice for students who plan to compete in this competition in the future?
There's just so much, it's time commitment, but it's also like learning how to rehearse in the right ways, obviously. Like, I think that we did a good job of always kind of having a plan for rehearsal, but I think our rehearsals were always really efficient. Like, we were able to get a lot, like, we packed a lot into every rehearsal. They were very, like, intense rehearsals. It wasn't just like play around and like play a rep and then hang out, like, whatever. So, yeah, I think like the big two things for me were just like efficient rehearsals and a lot of rehearsals.
Also making sure that everybody feels like they have the room to share their ideas and also their criticisms was so important for us. Like, we knew it was never personal, but we had such a good dialogue with everyone in the group, and that ranged from like, we had a freshman to first year master's students, but me, having been a first year master's student last year, had never done NTC. So I was much more looking toward Elise or even Kat, who was our freshman, because she had done NTC in high school. So I knew they knew more about that specific process more than I did. And I think it was really nice to always feel like anyone could offer up their musical ideas, their rehearsal ideas. It was a good space to be sharing that in.
Yeah, I really enjoyed our rehearsals together. It was always very fun. This also kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where we all established what do we want from this group? What are our goals from a really early standpoint? Like we all kind of agreed. We're like, okay, we don't want to have to rehearse like every single day, or we don't want to have to rehearse 4 times a week. Like, that's a lot. At the time, 3 of our members were music ed majors. Gwen is now a performance major. She was doubling at the time, but at the time it was like 3 out of the 5 of us were music ed, and then Sydney and I had like the most open schedules of all time. So it was very difficult to be able to get a lot of rehearsals in. So we knew from the get-go, okay, we don't want to have to rehearse like constantly. So if we're gonna get the work done, we need to have really efficient rehearsals. And so that led to us having plans and talking to each other, having really clear communication in what we needed and what we wanted.
Just because I'm curious as a trumpet player, but also because some listeners may be curious too, can you talk about maybe some of the more specifics of the process in terms of when you started meeting, when you started memorizing, when you started choreographing, how often you were doing mock performances, like that whole thing?
I think for last year, we started, I don't really remember when we started meeting regularly. It was probably around like late September. I think we like started meeting and picking out music like earlier in September at the beginning of the school year. But we probably started meeting regularly, probably 2 times a week at first. And then last year, the recording submission date for NTC was really early. It was December 1st last year, which put it right after Thanksgiving break. So for us, we're really lucky that Dr. Gardner has a lot of stuff set up and in place for us to be able to record for NTC. So we work with our collaborative piano department at CU to put all this together, and we are able to like we pay our accompanists for the solo recordings, and then we also will book room time to record for trumpet ensemble. I think that we had 2 or 3 recording sessions last year. We did this year as well. It's like we try to make recording fun. So like I brought donuts this year. Like Amy brings candy all the time. So it's like we kind of make an event out of it. Oh, there was one time we went and got lunch afterward. So it was really fun. So we make it like a whole event out of the recording of it because that can be a stressful time, like trying to get recordings and like doing reps over and over. I think within we would take like 2 hour recording blocks and then maybe get, I don't know, 3 takes or something like that out of it because we want to make sure that we're like taking time off the chop. Memorization, we memorize pretty early, at least we try to. We always shoot for around the first week of February for trying to get music fully memorized, like a full memorized run. Now, whether or not that sounds good or it has the right notes is really subjective to the year. I mean, Elise and I have been in trumpet ensemble together. Like, this is our first year not being in trumpet ensemble together in 3 years. It's devastating to sad. When we did the Shostakovich Festive Overture together, is like that was a different memorization process than Centrifuge was, and Centrifuge is a different process than what our piece is this year. So that process, I think, looks super different depending on the people and the group. When I went with Indiana, we got it fully memorized the week before NTC. So it's like it totally depends on the group.
I think so much of our work early on was matching sound, matching articulation so perfectly that stuck even after Christmas break. So then it was like just memorization, and the choreography kind of comes as we're working through the memorization process. It's like, oh, okay, we want to make this part come out so the other parts turn around or do the little cluster. That all kind of comes with the musicality that we're able to bring out once we memorize it, I think. It's not like, okay, we're doing choreography on this day. It kind of just comes naturally, I would say. We have a performance every year here at CU where we go to one of the retirement communities and do our solos and the trumpet ensembles. That always happens the beginning of March. And then we try to perform in studio as much as we can. There's usually an honor band performance that happens. Actually, it's this weekend at CU right now. So we sought out, but also had a few set up for memorized performance opportunities before that. And I do think that was a huge factor in how well we were able to do, because we got so many opportunities to more or less get the nerves out or simulate that and know what it was going to feel like.
Do you have a favorite rehearsal memory together from last year or from this year?
I'm going to kind of tie this question to the last question because I was just thinking about it's not a rehearsal memory, but something that we did together that was so fun. That was a performance opportunity that we created for ourselves. We went busking with our trumpet ensemble. We went to like it's the downtown of like Boulder, and it's kind of this like walking mall that you can go to, and a lot of musicians will go and busk there. People will do it during the holidays and things like that. And we decided did, we would go and perform Centrifuge. We performed it once on one side of the mall, and then we went and performed it on the other side. So we did 2 memorized runs just outside for random people walking by. And I think that that was a really interesting experience for us because we learned to play with distractions. Because with people walking around outside, you have no idea what's happening. Cars are driving past, things like that. So that was a really, really interesting experience. And also, we had to listen so closely to each other because we were playing outside. Sydney may not so fondly remember this because she felt like she was overplaying because it's outside. So you have to take that into consideration. But it was a super fun experience. So we took all the money that we made busking and then we went and got brunch all together. And so it was just a really fun performance opportunity that we made for ourselves as a chance to play more.
I think going out to lunch afterwards with the 5 of us was one of the first times that I'd actually gotten a chance to like sit and talk to some of the younger underclassmen that were in this ensemble about anything other than what we were doing together. So I remember that being a fun bonding experience. I remember so many of the rehearsals, or the rehearsals in general, so fondly because we were always just giggling, or like we would do a run, talk about it, totally go off track, go on some tangent, start talking about something else, and then be like, okay, lock in, another run. And like we were so good at being able to go from talking about something so random, having fun, giggling about XYZ, and then, okay, we're on, get this done. And I think that's why we say we were very efficient, but we also were able to have fun because we could go back and forth so well.
Can I ask what you maybe are doing differently preparing for this year's competition, or maybe some things you're doing the same? If you don't want to talk about what you're preparing this year, you don't have to. I know that it's coming up and it's, I don't want to ruin the surprise, but if you have some thoughts about maybe what's changed in the past year, I'd love to hear it.
I would say the biggest difference between this year's preparation and last year's is last year we were really, really fighting like tooth and nail because we had something to prove. We had everything to prove. We wanted to win it all, not just for us, but for all the other women who have never been able to be represented. We wanted to stand up there and prove to the world that we could do it. A lot of us had experiences either previously or at different schools with trumpet ensembles that were predominantly male, and that not really being an enjoyable experience. And so we kind of started working together with the intention of making this an enjoyable experience for everyone and just making it as fun as possible, as inclusive as possible, and more so just about displaying our power as women. There's no reason that our gender should determine our ability to win or not. And that's different to this year, because this year we don't really have as much to prove anymore. We already put it out in the world that we are capable of doing this and that we intend to do it. And so this year it's more about working together as an ensemble, having fun together, and not doing it for ourselves anymore. We gain nothing from winning a second time if we do. If we win a second time, it's going to be for other people, and it's going to be for the audience, for all the women out there who had never had the opportunity to be represented like this before. We're doing it for them. Last year was about proving it to ourselves. This year is about proving it to everyone else. We are representing everyone who has never gotten the chance to be represented before. And I think that's something that we as a group take very seriously as well. I would say that's the biggest difference between last year and this year.
No, I'm actually glad you're bringing this up, because now that I'm thinking about what we did last year, I'm like, we need to start doing runs in heels if we're going to do our heels again. Like I said, the memorization process for this piece this year is a little more difficult. It's an arrangement that Dr. Gardner did for us of D Fledermaus Overture. So not as idiomatic, I suppose you could say, as Centrifuge was. And it's a fun challenge, but I think that has changed a lot of our rehearsal processes, like right now compared to what we were at last year at this date. I think we're a little more focused on the music this year, because so much of our group sound and group articulation that we established last year was able to stay, since 4 out of the 5 of us are there. So we've done a lot more focus on the music and memorization in rehearsals.
I think that is something that is very different this year. And I think also for most people who do trumpet ensemble in college, Elise and I experienced this even at CU, where each year you're kind of playing with different people. And when you're playing with different people, you have to learn how to play together. And that's not really something we had to do much of this year, which was really nice because 4 out of the 5 of us are the same. And Amy Millicent is great. She walked right in and she's a great player. And so it was great to add her in. So we didn't have to worry about that so much, which is super, like, that's uncommon, I think. Like, Elise and I, even though she and I were in ensembles together the last 3 years, it was like just me and her who were the same. As like everyone else around us was completely different between the 3 years that Elise and I did trumpet ensemble together. So that is something that's very unique. And this piece is much harder. Centrifuge is written for trumpet ensemble. It's an original trumpet ensemble piece that Jason Doval wrote. So, and he is a trumpet player, so he knows what works on the trumpet, what sounds good, what feels good on the trumpet. And playing rapid string lines does not feel good on the trumpet like Centrifuge did. So that has been a pretty big challenge, I think, for all of us. Technically, Fledermaus has posed a bigger challenge than Centrifuge did. Centrifuge posed its own challenge in sound, matching articulation, playing in unison, intonation. We had 5 flugelhorns. Now we have no flugelhorns. So that's nice. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge in, like, how do you play the trumpet well, for sure.
Or like a string player. How do you make the trumpet sound like a violin?
Yeah, that's a big one, actually, is like the timbre and the sound of this piece. Centrifuge was very trumpety and it was a competition piece. And Fledermaus is very not that. It is like 1800s Viennese waltz style music. So it's like, how do I on D trumpet sound like oboe and like all that? So it's very interesting and it's really fun to work with, but very, very different.
This is a follow-up question that I'm going to ask, and I mean absolutely nothing by it. I just want to say that. Do you feel any extra level of pressure from the win from last year?
We actually recently had a group discussion about this because we had a coaching with Dr. Gardner a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and he was like, I can feel the pressure in this room and you guys just need to go play your best. You need to not put that on yourselves. But I know I maybe more than some of the other members of the group am really feeling it because I'm batting 1 for 1 on NTC. I've only known success right now since that was my first competition last year. And so that is something that we have addressed. I think we all feel to some extent. We're working out of it. We're trying our best to let those external pressures go a little bit because we play better without that.
Right. Yeah. Well, because I can only imagine it's not just that you won last year, that's already pressure, but the fact that you are also sort of breaking barriers in doing so adds another level of societal pressure too. So I just want you to know, as a trumpet player, I feel no expectation for you to go and do anything you haven't already done. You're going to do amazing. And I can't wait to hear the performance and to have no extra pressure from at least an outside perspective. So hopefully that is helpful to hear.
Thank you so much for saying that. It was really sweet. I think that it is definitely hard. I feel a lot of pressure, but something that we reminded ourselves of a lot last year while we were at the competition, we knew that this year Elise was going to be student teaching, and so she probably wasn't going to be able to participate in trumpet ensemble. And so we, before each performance, we'd be like, okay, we'd take our deep breaths together and we'd be like, this could be the last time that we get to perform this together. Like, this could be the last time that we as this group get to play, because we didn't have any expectation we thought it'd be fun. We really, like, how cool would it be if we won? Like, if we could be the first all-female ensemble to win, how cool. But we had no expectation going into it, and we treated each round like it could be our last one together, and we wanted to make it good. And I think that if we can manage to take that same feeling, because like Sydney's graduating, moving to Baltimore, I am graduating. I will probably outgrow NTC in age at this point, even if I were to go back and do a doctorate. So it's like, it really truly is going to be the last time that this group in this capacity gets to do this. So I think if we can go in with that mindset rather than like, oh, we have to win, it'll feel a lot more personal and feel a lot more special. I also want to mention that University of Kentucky is taking the first all-female large ensemble to NTC. So they're taking 10 women in an ensemble to
Wow.
NTC with a brand new piece from Jason Doble, and I am so excited for them. So honestly, I'm very excited to hang out at NTC. I think if we can like kind of make it a fun hang, like get all the girls together, get all the ladies together, and just support each other without putting the pressure on us, like you said, Amy. It'll be a great hang.
I also think once we get Fireball, the Pitbull song going, we'll be fine. That was our pre-performance ritual last year. Obviously, it proved to be useful. But before every performance, I suppose that's also one of our favorite memories is dancing to Fireball before every one of the competition performances.
I want to say we kind of appropriated that from Elise. That was Elise's hype song first.
I think the first time I listened to it, I was driving to like it was either like it was a high school band concert or something. My high school band concert when I was in high school, and Fireball just came on like as I was rolling into the parking lot, and I was like, wait, this is so good. And then I played like so good that night, and I was like, okay, I have to play Fireball before every single performance now for the rest of my life. And so that's what I do now. And I introduced it to the rest of the ensemble. I think like not even just this ensemble, but like a lot of my friends, a lot of the studio members like listen to Fireball before they perform now.
You do
So
it before.
I'm glad I made a little bit of an impact on that.
Wow, you're the quite the influencer there. That is amazing. I love that. Thank you for sharing that fun little behind the scenes moment. No one would know you're jamming out to Fireball behind
Another
the
bit of
scenes.
advice: find your hype song.
Yep, find your hype song for sure.
Okay, good to know. So, transitioning a little bit away from NTC or the talk about NTC, I know you must all be so busy. You're all musicians and students and pre-professionals. So, how do you balance everything? I know that's a kind of a loaded question that maybe we don't do so good a job as balancing everything all the time, at least speaking from personal experience. But, how are you currently managing your lives, and do you have any advice for people who are also busy?
So, in terms of balance, I like to think about it in two different ways. The first being organization and planning. Something that's been super helpful for me is a super organized planner and calendar that I use. Makes it super easy, kind of eases some anxiety around scheduling and planning out my day. So for me, I plan out a few months in advance, but also I specifically plan out each week as well as each day, which allows me to kind of divvy up different tasks and responsibilities throughout the week, which makes things a lot less overwhelming. And it allows me to get all of my tasks and priorities done, or tasks and responsibilities done in a way that is also still high quality work. It has also eased a lot of anxiety around double booking. I know it's it can be a huge point of stress for especially music majors. And so by planning everything out and having a very up-to-date, detailed calendar really helps me to ease that tension, and that I can schedule and reschedule things with confidence and reassurance that I'm not going to be double booking myself, because I have everything up to date in my calendar, which makes definitely things a lot easier. It also helps me to be proactive in how I do things, keep up with my schoolwork in a way that's not super overwhelming, but kind of staying ahead of everything helps to really ease anxiety, kind of kill procrastination, which is also huge. And then the other aspect I kind of like to look at balance is also balancing my music and academic life and work life, as well as with my personal life, and making sure I'm prioritizing my mental health and my physical health. For me, that looks like going to the gym every morning. I go about 4 days a week. Nothing super crazy, but it's a great way for me to start my day, get myself in a good headspace, and also just trying to take care of my body and my mental health, as well as, booking times to eat lunch with friends, which I know may sound a little bit crazy to book time to eat lunch with a friend, but being a music major, I think we can all agree that it's very, very busy, have a lot of things going on, especially if you're doing education, you have practicum, and for me, I work, so I have that, and then academics, then my own private rehearsal time, or practice time, as well as rehearsal time with the multiple ensembles, so it can get kind of hectic. But just like taking the time to like sit down with a friend, eat lunch, schedule that can be super beneficial. It's at least been beneficial for me and my mental health.
I think it's important to have people around you who support you and that you can rely on. I would be nowhere if I didn't have my friends and my lovely partner to help me. I feel like I can lean on them when I need it, or if I forget my charger at home, or if I need a straight mute and I didn't bring mine to school or something like that. I have people that I can ask for help. And sometimes it can be really hard and it can feel like you can't ask for help, and you definitely can. It's very important to ask for help when you need it. Like maybe you have booked yourself for your entire day and you're like, oh, I forgot about lunch or things like that. It can be really, really easy to do, especially when you're in undergrad and you're having to learn how to do this for yourself for the first time, or you go to grad school. I went to undergrad in Indiana, where I'm from, and so it was kind of easy. I felt like I was living an hour and a half away from my parents. If I truly needed help, they were going to be right there. But then you move to grad school away from mom and dad, or Sydney had a completely opposite experience in that, at least too. You guys did undergrad far away. But for me, it was like also learning to do that in grad school in a different capacity. So yeah, staying organized, ask for help when you need it, write your stuff down, and make a plan.
I really like that idea of knowing your support system and not being afraid to communicate what is going on too, because I even think our support system within the ensemble, if you come in and are like, hey, I've had a rough day, I didn't get to spend this much time on memorization, like it's so much easier as a group to be informed and to give that grace than if it were to just come in and be like, okay, well, why didn't so and so do their work this week? It's important to communicate. It's important to know that we're all on the same team. And I think that reduced a lot of tensions too when you're able to be open and honest about that.
Yeah, last year was pretty hard for me in terms of busyness level, because also like at CU, all the music ed majors have to get a certain number of practicum hours every semester. And so like my junior year, I was having to get like, I don't remember, it was like 50 or more hours in a semester. So I would have to take time out of my day several times a week and drive 30 minutes to a school and then spend a couple hours there and then drive 30 minutes back. So that was like in my schedule. And then also, obviously, the classes, the rehearsals. I was also the president of two clubs at the same time. So there was a lot that I had to balance. I will be honest, I really didn't sleep very much. I think I put everything else above my like physical and mental needs, but it kind of worked out.
It
I'm getting
worked.
better at it. I'm still learning. I'm only 21. But I think one thing that I do that's a little psychotic but works really well for me is I have a Google Doc, and I will literally write out every single day, like hour by hour, or even like 30 minute by 30. Like I will chunk everything out and like know exactly what's happening every day so that I know like what I need to do and what I need to prioritize and things like that. So that's what's worked for me, but everything else that Leilani and Sydney said too, like having a good support system and like taking time to relax when I can. Like my weekends were usually not that busy, so I could like relax on those and then decompress.
Okay, so last and final question. I know that we're almost out of time here. This is a question that we ask all of our guests on the Brass Flexibilities podcast. So we've heard a variety of answers, and I'm excited to hear yours. But the question is, money and time aside, what is your dream project?
I think I've decided that some kind of touring, international touring, chamber music thing would be really cool. Combining my love of travel with my love of music, with passion project music would be really wonderful.
So my first answer is something that I hope can come to fruition sort of in a way this semester. I haven't decided if I have enough time to do it yet, which is why money and time aside. But for IWBC, I was introduced to Ida Gotkovsky, who is a French composer, and I played her concertino for trumpet at the IWBC solo competition, and I absolutely fell in love with that piece. I loved it, and I played it for a graduate solo competition for CU in the fall as well. So I got to work with it for a little bit longer. And I had never heard of her before, but she has a concertino for trumpet. She has a concerto for trumpet as well. And I think that it would be really, really fun to be able to record her works. We have a great pianist on faculty here at CU that I absolutely adore, and she worked on the piece with me to prepare for IWBC. And so it would be just so great to be able to collaborate with her and get some recordings of Gotkovsky's works, because there's not a lot out there. There are a hand, like at least one recording for each piece, but I think that would be really, really cool project to put together, potentially like present at IWBC or ITG and like share these works with people, because they are so fun and I think really, really comparable to a lot of the like French style C trumpet repertoire that we have. So that's one piece. The other piece I kind of would love to take after my undergrad teacher, Joey Tartell. Him and a bunch of his buddies have a professional trumpet ensemble called Trompamundi, and they commission new works. They perform all over the US. I think it would be really, really fun to be able to have a professional level trumpet ensemble of people who I really enjoy working with and spending time with, to be able to do stuff like that and share music. I've been doing trumpet ensemble for such a long time because of Joey. Like my first studio recital was trumpet ensemble. It wasn't all of us play solos. It was all of us get together and play trumpet ensemble. So I've been doing it for a long time. And I think it would be really fun to kind of follow in those footsteps and put together a professional level ensemble.
Mine isn't necessarily a project, but just a goal that I have. The middle school that I'm student teaching at right now has such an incredible, incredible program. Like seriously, some of the best middle schoolers you'll hear in Colorado. My mentor teacher, she has built up that program. Like she's been here for about 15 years, I think. And it was like the jazz band was like she had to beg people to join the jazz band at the beginning of her program, but now she's got literally 70 kids in the jazz band. There's like billions of trumpet players and billions of trombone players and billions of saxophone players. Like there's so many of every single part, but I just admire what she's done so much, and my dream is to be able to build up a middle school program like that and just like have really incredible, confident kids, and just be able to build them up as much as possible. And also, I was kind of thinking about this while well, Leilani and Sydney were talking too, but like maybe even forming a little like girls brass quintet or like girls trumpet ensemble or something at the middle school. I think that would be so cute. So yeah, just really like inspiring the youth is my dream.
That's amazing. We need so many more people who have that kind of spirit and desire, because that's where we all started, right? Like we were all middle school band kids who just had a dream, and now we're here doing trumpet full time, which is crazy. So thank you for being the next generation of amazing, inspiring mentors, because we need those.
It's been so nice to talk to you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
You're
thank
so
you so much.
welcome. Of course, thank you guys
Yeah.
so much for coming onto the podcast and for telling us about your experiences as an ensemble. And I wish you all the best of luck at NTC this year, too. It's going to be great.
Thank you for listening to this episode of IWBC's Brass Flexibilities. My name is Amy Batchelder, and it has been my pleasure to host and edit today's interview with our esteemed guests and winners of the 2025 National Trumpet Competition, the CU Boulder Trumpet Quintet. A special thank you to our wonderful producer, Dr. Lauren Rudzinskas, and the members of Monarch Brass who you can hear in the intro and outro music performing IWBC's 2025 commission, Rise. To learn more about IWBC and how to get involved, please visit our website, myiwbc.org, or our social media pages. If you'd like to be featured on the podcast or know someone you'd like us to interview, please reach out using the email info@myiwbc.org. You can stream this podcast on all major podcasting platforms as well as our YouTube page and social media. You can support IWBC via donation, volunteering, or attending our holiday brass concerts in St. Louis, Missouri and Baltimore, Maryland. See you in the next episode of Brass Flexibilities.